This morning I had a very brief conversation with someone who shared very, very opposite views to the ways that I view the world. And before I get into this video, I just want to preface by saying that me making this video is not an attempt to humiliate or talk badly about this person's views. I fully respect that they're an individual and their experiences in life have shaped the way that they see things, and that's not for me to try and sit here and tear down. You know, I fully respect this person's views, but it just sort of inspired me to come here and reinforce my views, because essentially what this person was saying was that because we're going to die, there's no point to attempting to do anything great with your life. Because we're going to die, there's no point, and because no one cares about you, because everyone's so stuck up in their lives, there is no point to attempting to go through hardship to attain something great, you know? And I couldn't help but strongly disagree. And the first thing that came to mind was that there's a book by a man named Viktor Frankl called A Man's Search for Meaning. And essentially what this book is it's a story of Viktor Frankl, who was sent to a concentration camp during the Second World War. Or it might have been the First World, no, Second World War, yeah. He was sent to a concentration camp during the Second World War, and he essentially described his experiences there and talked about his way of dealing with all the psychological and physical trauma of being a prisoner in this concentration camp. And the book is an amazing book, and I recommend everyone who watches this video to go and read the book. It's not a very long book. You could probably read it in a day. But essentially there are so many messages in that book, but one of the main messages of the book was that if you are searching for meaning in life, if you're asking what's the meaning of life, what's the point of me being here, you have to understand that you're not the one who's asking, you're the one who's being asked. You know, when you ask what's the point of my life, you're asking no one but yourself. And you have to understand what that means. You know, no one's going to tell you what the point of your life is. No one's going to tell you how to live. No one's going to tell you the exact way to get what you want. The only person that's going to tell you and figure it out is you. So when you're asking what's the point of everything if we're going to die? You know, what's the point of everything if no one cares anyway? You know, you have to understand that you are the person who has to figure it out. You have to ask yourself, what do I want to do with my life? And then you have to go and pursue that. And I think it's such a simple thing to understand, is that if you have a why, if you have a true why, and I'm not just saying like material reasons for doing something, if you genuinely have a deeply rooted beyond material, you know, if you have a deeply rooted metaphysical reason for doing what you want to do with your life, then you can go through anything to get there. And I think in A Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl's why was that if he survived, he would get to be with his wife again. So the love that he shared with his wife was what was able to keep him surviving against all the odds. I mean, can you imagine what life was like as a prisoner in a concentration camp? You're underfed, you're overworked, you're constantly sleep deprived, you're physically abused, you're verbally abused, you're psychologically abused. horror. But what kept him going was knowing that if he stayed alive, he would get to share the love that he had with his wife. That was his why. And that allowed him to bear all of the hows to get there. And another important thing that he highlighted was that a lot of the times, the true meaning of your life is on the other side of immense suffering. You know, if you're able to make it through pain, suffering, late nights, early mornings, sleepless nights, sleep-deprived days, toxic social circles, toxic relationships, bad family environments, bad physical environments, lack of food, lack of amenities, all this stuff. If you're able to make it through that and still have a strong will to do something good, then you have a reason to live. You have a purpose. You have a mission. But what this person was essentially saying was that they had given up on attempting to do anything positive because they're gonna die anyway. And it's like, the best way I can sort of like be transparent is, the gift of being human is that you're self-aware. You're a self-aware conscious being. Alright? You're not an animal that only thinks about sleep, food and reproducing. You're a very complex being. You're a very, you can observe all of your thoughts before they manifest. So you can see everything that you're thinking. Right? So if you wake up in the morning and because you have free will, you decide to start thinking that life is meaningless and that there's no point to anything, you have to understand that you have the power to say, no, I'm going to think life has a meaning, and I'm going to think that I need to do something of value and improve the lives of myself and other people around me. You can choose either or, right? And if you look at everything from a energetically vibrational perspective, right? You're because our body is just a cluster of vibrating empty balls, right? Your body's sort of affected by the way you think, right? Your thoughts become your reality. So if you're thinking low vibrational thoughts, and I mean literally physically low vibrational thoughts that don't move a lot, right? Sadness, envy, I don't know, laziness, worthlessness, all these really slow, heavy vibrations, right? Your entire being becomes that slow vibration. If you wake up in the morning and you think, what's the point of everything? Your entire reality will be this slow worthlessness reality, because you're vibrating at a lower state, right? But you have to realize that you've chosen to do that. It's not been done to you. You've chosen to think like that. Therefore, your entire reality is this slow, vibrational, heavy reality that feels like a burden. That feels it's difficult to live in, right? But what's on the opposite side of that? You wake up in the morning and you think, I'm so grateful to be alive, and I'm so joyful that I can think for myself and choose what I want to do with my life. I'm so full of love for myself and the people around me that I'm going to stop at nothing before I can provide a better quality of life to me and my loved ones. You can choose to do that too. And what does that entail? You have these high vibrational frequencies running through your head, manifesting in your reality, making your entire reality this high vibrational, light, sort of easy to maneuver in environment. It's not heavy. You know, it's joyful. So you can call me naive. You can say I haven't experienced enough of life yet to know what I'm talking about. But quite frankly, I don't think that's the case. I think the gift of being human is that you're a self-aware, conscious being with free will to do whatever it is you want to do. So if you want to wake up and you want to sort of complain that the world is a terrible place, and complain that we're finite beings, and complain that people are bad and do bad things, and people suffer for no reason and all this stuff, you can do that. But you can also choose to do the opposite. Now, another thing Viktor Frankl mentioned was that it's so important to accept what you can't control. Right? There's no point allowing things that you can't control to have a negative impact on your experience. There's literally no point. Right? So just before you sit there and say that there's no point of doing anything great because you're going to die anyway, and the world's a terrible place, just think again. Because you're so much more powerful than you think. Right? It's not like it's not being done to you. You're doing it to yourself. And you always will be. Because you're a free, conscious being. You're a self-aware, conscious being with free will to do what they want. So if believing that makes me naive, then I'm naive. But I know I'd rather think like this than think like what I've been speaking about.